if you want to support the show, any of the shows, either this or whichever show, I'm not on right now because this is just a blanket ad for all of them, and the website, you can go to bewareofspoilers.com. In the description for any of the episodes of Beware of Spoilers, there is the option to donate. If you don't want to donate that way, you can donate directly through the website. We do have that, mwpnews.com. And if you don't want to support that way, then going to mwpnews.com will help out because we have ads there. We don't want to keep it, where there's a lot of ads. There's a few ads. But the point is we want to make it so that way, we can sustain this for the long term. If people donate, we're never going to paywall anything, I don't think, as of right now. But if people, start donating, we'll start doing cooler and cooler stuff. Like donations are how we get to cover stuff like Tribeca and other, film festivals. And, we may be able to bring on more people to help out. So if you want to help out the show and you want more content from us, by all means, even just going and giving us a 5-star rating on Spotify helps out a lot. But that's it. That's the only ad we'll have on the podcast ever. But here's whatever podcast you're going to be listening to. Good morning and welcome, afternoon, by the time the show's up, and welcome to 30-Minute Reviews. I am Adam. It's a big week this week. Let's just put that out there. We have 2 massive shows kicking off the fall, season, I guess is what we would call this. The 2 shows in this case being, the Agatha All Along, the Agatha Harkness WandaVision spinoff that may or may not be setting up the return of the Scarlet Witch, and I would not be shocked if that was the case. I've talked about that at length. You've listened to that. But one of the other things that is happening is this week we have The Penguin, the sequel, or I guess we'll call it interquel, even though the second one hasn't come out yet, for The Batman. The Matt Reeves Batman movie with Robert Pattinson. And we're going to talk about The Batman today. Because I think that that's a movie that, I'm not saying it doesn't get enough credit. I think it gets plenty of credit, and I think it does, it does what it sets out to do very well, being this, kind of gritty noir Batman movie. But there's still some things that I'm like, okay, we have to kind of take a step back and acknowledge the ridiculousness of the situation. Like, I think one of the things that to this day when I watch this movie that I find funny is this idea no one knows who Batman is. And then Batman is trying to save, is it the district attorney? Yeah, the district attorney he's trying to save. He's got the bomb on his neck, and he's unsuccessful, but the concussive blast knocks him back. And he's knocked out, and then he wakes up at the police station where it's like every cop in the fucking precinct is standing over him, and they're like, let's take the mask off. And it's like, what, you wait until a minute he's about to wake up to do that? It was daylight when the bomb went off, and it is now night. You didn't think that this had to do that before that moment? And, it's small moments like that where it's like, oh, that's a little weird. And then the entire third act, I think there's some good moments in the third act. And I think that, the third act is important for Batman's character and how we're going to characterize the transition of Batman from vengeance to being more of a hero. Instead of a vigilante who's just out for vengeance. It's an important moment, but I don't think it's necessarily, the biggest, what's the word I'm looking for here? I think that there are better ways to handle this same moment without having to inflate the budget as much as it was. That was the thing, is that it's there was an article, I think it was Hard Drive, they do this thing Minus World, where it's for those who don't know, Hard Drive is basically The Onion, but for video game and movies. and they did a Minus World article, which is like their take on, like, if they want to do an editorial about something that really happened, or something that with like worth a comedic take but not parody, they use Minus World for that. So what you end up with is they did one where it's like, villain is actually pretty agreeable until you get to the third act and he takes a wild heel turn. And, like, yeah, that's kind of the issue with the Riddler, is that the Riddler in this movie makes great points about the systemic corruption of Gotham and how that happens. Like, the idea that, like, you know, the Wayne Foundation was being co-opted by the mayor, and how organized crime basically runs the city and how corrupt everything is. It makes for a compelling villain, because I am like, oh shit, maybe he shouldn't kill people, you know, maybe that's not the best thing to do, but, you know, he's got points about what's going on in Gotham. Like, it's a cool motive, still murder thing, but, like, you know what? I can see why this guy who is disenfranchised would do all of this. Like, I understand where he's coming from. And that's what makes a compelling villain. If you can sit there and be like, I get why you feel this way, you've done a good job. And that's how it kind of works. And then you get to the third act, and then it's like, and now I'm going to, because Gotham is built under sea level for some reason, like New Orleans, I'm going to destroy the wall, and we're going to let the Gotham Bay into the city and flood everything. And I'm like, okay, this is just needlessly, and I get what it's for. This is the moment you need where, where you need the turn of the Riddler to be that person to try and destroy Gotham, with the intent being that, like, you because of how he has kind of portrayed himself as two sides of the same coin with Batman, and how Batman kind of rejects that. And then when we get to that moment at the end where he's talking to the when he's talking to the Riddler goon, and the Riddler goon says, I am vengeance, like he does, you need that moment to be like, oh shit, this is not what this city needs. Like, we don't need someone else like this, because that's what everyone else is doing. Then you get to the end of the movie, where you get, you know, that moment of him helping people in the ocean, not the ocean, in the remnants of Gotham, and he's helping rescue people from the wreckage, like, and him leading everyone out. And it's like, that's something that, I think I said this at the time when I saw the movie initially, I did my initial thoughts, and then again with Peter, I think one of the things I said was, if I remember correctly, like, I don't think we've seen that in the Batman movie. Like, this kind of essential part of Batman's character, the fact that, like, yes, he is vengeance. He is here to get, you know, non-lethal revenge on those who do wrong. That is an essential part of Batman's character too, don't get me wrong. But we also don't really see the idea that, like, fundamentally this is still a hero. Fundamentally, he's still someone who is, you know, meant to be kind of a dark symbol of hope for Gotham. Where it's like, not everyone is going to go out and, you know, and create the issues like that, you know, the bad guys do. That said, I don't think we need that sequence to be quite as long as it does. You can cut that down. I don't think it needs to be as big budget as it does, because that just inflates the budget of the movie to a point where it's not needed. I don't think you need to have it be quite as, you know, bombastic or anything like that. I don't need a Joker cameo by what's his name, Keown. I don't need any of that. I just need, you know, this movie could have ended with the capture of Riddler, and then Riddler thinking, like, that scene in Arkham when he's talking to Riddler, and he goes, oh yeah, like, I was doing this because of you. I was doing this because I saw, like, we are the same. And I was doing this because of you. Like, that's a strong enough thing to have in this movie, I think, that you don't really need to have the rest. Like, yeah, we missed out on that moment, but that's, you know, that's neither here nor there. I love Zoe Kravitz in this movie. She's fantastic as Catwoman. Hopefully we get to see her again. Like that, and their whole dynamic is great. Between Catwoman and Batman. I love all of that. I loved Andy Serkis as Alfred, and I think that was really interesting too. The way that like they played this kind of difference with Alfred. And the other thing I really liked was the moment in the movie that like I was like so pumped for when I saw it in the theater the first time, because I said it, you know, leading up to the movie. I ended up being wrong, but there's the great moment where the reveal happens, and to this day I'm kind of just confused as to why it was, you know, why it was Riddler and not Hush, because this feels like a Hush thing to do, like the way they kind of handle this. And it's a shame in that regard, because it's like, why was that the way they were going to handle this? Because like everything about this character kind of feels very Hush. He's revealing the secrets. He's someone who has this tie back to, you know, he appears to have a tie back to Batman, and he wants to be, you know, he wants to be better. Like, and he wants to fix the problems of Gotham. So the issue becomes, like, okay, so how does this kind of work? Like, and I think fundamentally the movie kind of doesn't feel like it should have been the Riddler to begin with. Like, that's kind of my big issue with this movie, is that it feels like it should have just been Hush. But like that reveal in the middle, and about how all the interconnected lines in Gotham kind of all come together in this, you know, tapestry, so to speak, that's meant to be like, oh, well, here are how all of these things come together and interlink. Like, that moment, especially tracing back, and I don't think this has happened anywhere else, but tracing back the Arkham family who established Arkham Asylum, and linking them back to the Waynes by way of Martha Wayne being the descendant of that family. And then Arkham Asylum, this thing in Gotham that has been kind of this, you know, this abusive, you know, antiquated system to deal with the rampant mental health issues that kind of plague everyone in Gotham. Like, it's just making the situation worse, and it being built as this monument. Like, I love this idea of marrying the two together, and I really like to see how they explore this universe too. Like, and that car chase between the Penguin, like, I love Colin Farrell as the Penguin in this movie. He's great. I'm really interested to see where this movie, where they go with the Penguin, and how that kind of, you know, sets up what they do in part 2. That's the thing that I'm really interested to see, because inherently we have part 2 coming in 2026. You know, I've heard rumors that the villain is going to be Clayface. Okay, I think that's an interesting idea. I'm in favor of Clayface being the bad guy. How do they implement that in this world? And I think we had something about, like, I think we got an idea of that in in Caped Crusader, on how you can do a more serious take on Clayface. And therein lies the issue. I think that I'm interested to see where they go on this. What else have we got with this? And that said, it's like anytime we get to go back to the criminal underworld, give me more of that. Let's see the seedy underbelly of Gotham. And let's talk about where they're going to go in the Penguin. Do I think that any of our characters who've already been established show up in this, you know, besides, you know, the announced cast, namely Colin Farrell? I think there is a chance, and a non-zero chance at that. I think there's I don't want to say solid, but there's a pretty good chance that by the end of the show, you know, especially if Penguin is just kind of, but it'd be weird. I think, like, considering this show is setting up, like, there's a power vacuum in Gotham, and because of this power vacuum in Gotham, you know, there's this kind of situation in the underworld while the Penguin is able to kind of assume operations for what, you know, for most of the criminal operations in Gotham. Okay, great. So if that's kind of the thing that is going to be the main inciting incident of this, I don't think you can end with the defeat of the Penguin, because then it's just like we're just leaving the show in the exact same place we did. I mean, unless that's the thing, is that it's like, this is just going to be the end of the Penguin. Because that's the thing, too, is that it's like, yes, the show is standalone, but at the same time, it is in between two major movies. So I think, to a certain extent, you have to expect that it's going to, it's going to have to live in that space and kind of and own that it lives in that space. This idea that, we are going to be dealing with what does a lawless Gotham look like, and how does the lawless Gotham kind of, operate. And I think the thing is, too, it'll be interesting to see how this works and see if they reference what's going on with Batman. And that's kind of the interesting thing, too, where it's like we just got in Echo, which Echo had its issues. I wasn't 100% on Echo. I didn't enjoy it enough. But Echo had this moment very early on where we get to see from the perspective of the bad guy what it looks like when Daredevil swings in and fucks up your shit. And it is probably one of my favorite things that Marvel has done on the streaming side. This idea that, like, oh, cool, so here's Daredevil. He's coming in to stop everything, to break up the operation. And it's like, what does that look like if you're someone who is, who's just working there? If you're one of the goons, what's that like? And that show kind of illustrates that. I think it'd be really interesting if we got that moment in this, but you're one of the Penguin's goons, and it's Batman breaking it up. But look, we talk about that this week. So I think the way we're going to do this, as usual, this is going to be over on Beware of Spoilers. That's the way we always do this. Over on Beware of Spoilers on Thursday, because I believe Agatha is on Wednesday night. So Thursday in the mid-afternoon now, with the new timing based on the fact that I can't use the app to upload anymore. Thank you to our good friends at fucking Spotify for taking away that functionality. So with that happening, we're going to be these episodes go up in the afternoon. The day after they air, usually around 1:20 Eastern time is when we'll have these episodes go up. And we'll be doing Agatha All Along will be Thursday afternoon. Friday afternoon will be The Penguin, because one's Wednesday, one's Thursday. And then we'll be going right from The Penguin directly to Dune Prophecy, and then directly from Dune Prophecy right into Creature Commandos. So we'll have a constant stream of shit to talk about. And I will catch up with Rings of Power over there as well. I have not. The only difference, I'm going to make this announcement now, and we're going to be making this announcement periodically across all things. Skeleton Crew comes out in the first week of December. With Skeleton Crew being the next Star Wars show. Because we have Exploring Hyperspace Lanes, we're going to be moving the episode discussions to Exploring Hyperspace Lanes. And that'll be for all Star Wars shows. Even if Josie's not involved, I will be putting the episodes up there, just so that way we get, because it's better optimized to have it on the Star Wars show than it is to have it on the, than it is to have it on the, on the regular generic Beware of Spoilers stream. In the same way that, like, we moved the video game reviews from Beware of Spoilers to the backlog files, that's what we're going to be doing with the Star Wars shows. We're going to be moving the reviews to Exploring Hyperspace Lanes, and that'll go up, the day after the episode premieres. And that'll be starting with that, and then continuing with Andor, and then we'll see from there. But we'll wrap up there for today. And until our next episode, have a great rest of your week.